The sauna door creaked open like a gunshot in the dead of night, and Damien stepped in, his silhouette cutting through the steam like a blade. His eyes, those piercing blue ones I'd stolen glances at for years, locked onto mine, and in that sweltering haze he whispered, "Jordan, we need to talk. Now." I froze, heart slamming against my ribs, because the man who'd raised my best friend like a son to me was about to unravel the lie we'd both been living. It was a Thursday in late summer, the kind of sticky Seattle evening where the Puget Sound fog rolls in early and clings to everything like regret. I'd been hitting the gym after work, same routine since Miles and I graduated high school 5 years back. The place was a no-frills spot in Capitol Hill, faded lockers, the perpetual hum of ancient AC units, and a clientele that skewed toward blue-collar guys nursing beers from the vending machine out front. Miles had dragged me here freshman year of college, back when we were invincible, dreaming of startups and road trips down the Pacific Coast Highway. "Gotta sweat out the bullshit, man," he'd say, slapping my back with that easy grin of his. God, I missed that grin lately. Things had shifted between us, subtle at first, like cracks in pavement after a quake. I wiped my face with the threadbare towel, the heat wrapping around me like a vice. The sauna was my escape, a 10-minute purge where I could pretend the world outside didn't exist. No deadlines from the marketing firm downtown, no awkward silences at family dinners where mom asked when I'd settle down, and definitely no tangled feelings for my best friend that I'd buried deeper than a winter frost. Miles was straight as an arrow, married to his high school sweetheart now, with a kid on the way. I'd learned early to lock that door in my chest, the one labeled "what if." But Damien? He was the wild card, the steady rock in our orbit. Widowed young after a car wreck took Lisa when Miles was 12, he'd poured everything into raising his boy. Coaching Little League, fixing up that old Craftsman house in Ballard, working double shifts as a ferry captain on the Sound. To me, he was Uncle D, the guy who'd taught me to change a tire and grill salmon without burning the deck. That night, I'd been alone in the steam, eyes closed, letting the heat melt away the day's grind. A client pitch had tanked, and Miles had bailed on our weekly beer. Again, citing family stuff. It stung more than it should. When the door opened, I assumed it was some gym bro looking for a quick sweat. But then his voice, gravelly from years of shouting orders over wind-whipped waves, cut through. "Mind if I join you, kid?" I cracked an eye, and there he was, stripping off his tank top with the casual efficiency of a man who'd seen every storm the Pacific could throw. Damien Hale, 48 and built like he could still outrun the tide, with salt and pepper hair cropped short and a chest dusted in that same silver. He wrapped a towel low around his hips, settled on the bench opposite, and let out a long exhale. Christ, this heat hits different after a long shift. "No worries," I muttered, shifting to make space, though the bench was plenty wide. Up close like this, the sauna stripped away the buffers, the backyard barbecues, the polite nods at holidays. It was just us, skin prickling in the vapor, the wooden slats groaning under our weight. I tried not to stare, but damn, he carried his years like badges. Faint laugh lines around his eyes, a faded anchor tattoo on his forearm from his Navy days, the subtle hunch from hauling lines on the ferry. "Rough day on the water?" He chuckled, low and rough. "Always is when the tourists forget their sea legs. One puked right off the bow today, straight into the wake." He leaned back, arms draped along the upper bench, veins standing out like ropes. "You look like you could use a reset." I shrugged, forcing a laugh. "Just the usual. Boss writing me about metrics. Miles says I overthink it." At the mention of his son, Damien's face softened, but there was a shadow there, something fleeting I couldn't place. "Miles." "Yeah." Kid's got his hands full. He paused, wiping sweat from his brow, droplets tracing paths down his temple. "He's been distant with you, huh?" My gut twisted. How'd he know? "Nah, we're good. Just busy." "Bullshit." Damien's eyes narrowed, not unkindly, but with that captain's directness that brooked no evasion. "I see it, Jordan. The way you light up when he texts back, then crash when he ghosts. Been watching you boys since you were knee-high. Your family." The word hung there thick as the steam. Family. It was a lifeline and a chain all at once. I'd crashed at their place more nights than I could count. After fights with my folks, During that brutal breakup with my college ex who couldn't handle the gay thing, even just for late-night Xbox marathons with Miles, Damien had always been there, flipping pancakes at dawn, offering gruff advice over coffee. "Life's too short for half measures, son," he'd say. But now, in this cocoon of heat, his gaze felt heavier, like he was seeing through the steam to the bones of me. I swallowed hard, throat dry despite the humidity. "Appreciate that. Means a lot." He nodded but didn't drop it. "Listen, there's something I need to." The door banged open again, shattering the moment. A couple of meatheads lumbered in, laughing about some pickup game, their chatter filling the space like smoke. Damien clamped his jaw, the vulnerability snapping shut like a hatch in a gale. We sat in silence as they sweated and bantered, the air growing thicker, more oppressive. 10 minutes later, they filed out, leaving us alone again. But the spell was broken. Damien stood, towel slipping just a notch as he grabbed his gear. "Think on it, Jordan. Doors always open." Then he was gone, the door swinging shut behind him, leaving me drenched not just in sweat, but in questions that burned hotter than the coals. I lingered there long after, replaying his half-spoken words. What had he been about to say? And why did my pulse race like I just confessed my own secrets? Shaking it off, I showered cold, dressed in jeans and a faded mariner's hoodie, and headed out into the drizzle-slick streets. Seattle at dusk. Neon flickering through the mist, the distant horn of a ferry cutting the bay. My apartment was a third-floor walk-up in Fremont, all exposed brick and thrift store furniture, the kind of place that screamed, 20-something trying to adult. I fired up my laptop, scrolled through emails, but my mind kept drifting back to that bench, to the way Damien's voice had roughened on my name. By midnight, I caved and texted Miles. "Gym tonight? Beers after?" The response came quick. "Can't, man. Elena's got me on baby prep duty." Rain check. Elena, his wife, glowing and organized, the een to his chaotic yang. I typed back a thumbs up, then tossed my phone aside. Sleep came fitful, dreams tangled with waves and whispers, the sauna's heat chasing me into dawn. Friday blurred into the weekend in that Pacific Northwest way. Gray skies threatening rain that never quite fell, coffee runs to sustain the grind. Work was a slog, pitching ad campaigns for craft breweries, tweaking copy until my eyes crossed. But Damien lingered like a fog bank, impossible to shake. Saturday morning, I woke to a knock at my door, bleary-eyed and stubble-jawed. There stood Miles, holding a six-pack of IPAs and a greasy bag from the diner. "Figured you'd be moping. Elena's at yoga. Kids' day out." We cracked beers on my fire escape, overlooking the ship canal where barges chugged like lazy beasts. Miles was all easy energy, recounting his latest software bug hunt at the tech firm, his hazel eyes crinkling with that boyish charm. He was the reason I'd come out in high school, the one who'd punched a jerk in the cafeteria for slinging slurs my way. "You're my brother Jay," he'd said then, fist bumping me like it was nothing. But now, watching him gesture wildly, wedding band glinting, I felt the distance yawn wider. Not resentment, never that. Just a quiet ache for what we'd lost in growing up. "You talked to Dad lately?" Miles asked, mid-sip, casual as the breeze off the water. I nearly choked. Yeah. Bumped into him at the gym.
Sonasha.
His brow furrowed, just a tick. "Sauna? Weird. He's been off lately." Snapping at the dock hands, staring out at the sound like it's got answers. He shrugged, popping a fry into his mouth. "Probably just the anniversary coming up. Mom's been gone 12 years next month." The words landed like lead. I'd forgotten Lisa's wreck, that rainy night on I-5 when a semi hydroplaned. Damien had been a ghost for months after, Miles shuttling between relatives until his dad clawed back to shore.
"Shit, man.
"You okay?" Miles waved it off. "Yeah, we're solid. He asks about you, though. Says you're the steady one." Steady. If only he knew how my nights blurred into what-ifs, scrolling Grindr then deleting the app in shame. How I'd watch old photos of us three, Damien hoisting us on his shoulders at Safeco Field, and feel a pull I couldn't name. Not for Miles, not anymore. Something else rooted deeper. We shot the breeze till the beers ran dry, Miles heading out with a promise of a Mariners game soon. Alone again, I paced my living room, the itch under my skin growing. By evening, impulse 1, I texted Damien. Hey, Uncle D. Miles mentioned the anniversary. Beers this week? My treat. No response till I was halfway through a frozen pizza. Then, Tuesday. Ferry terminal after my shift. 7. Tuesday came with a vengeance. Pouring rain that turned the city into a watercolor smear. I clocked out early, fought traffic to the waterfront, where the massive Washington State ferries loomed like gray behemoths. The terminal buzzed with commuters, umbrellas blooming like black flowers. Damien emerged from the gangway, rain-slicked in his oilskin jacket, duffel slung over one shoulder. Up close, the lines on his face seemed deeper, etched by salt and solitude. Jordan. He clapped my shoulder, grip firm, calluses rough against my damp shirt. Good to see you, son. We ducked into a dive bar nearby, the kind with peanut shells on the floor and neon signs buzzing like trapped flies. Over Amber Alesh, talk flowed easy at first. Mariner's slim playoff hopes, the latest ferry route drama with the state budget. But as the second round hit the table, Damien's gaze turned inward, fingers tracing the condensation on his glass. Been thinking about what I started to say the other night, he murmured, voice low under the jukebox croon of some Springsteen tune. In the sauna. My pulse kicked up, the bar's warmth suddenly stifling. Yeah? What's eating you? He took a pull, set the glass down deliberate. Miles tells me you're seeing someone. That right? I blinked, caught off guard. What? No. Who said? He held up a hand. Just rumors. Kid worries. Thinks you're lonely. Lonely. The word stung, accurate as a gut punch. Miles should mind his own. I'm fine. Damien's eyes searched mine, steady as a lighthouse beam. Are you? 'Cause I see a good man holding back, Jordan. Life's waves don't wait for perfect timing. The air between us thickened, charged like the storm outside. I wanted to spill it all. The buried crush on his son. The fear of losing the only family that felt real. The way his presence now stirred something forbidden and fierce. But words stuck, heavy as anchors. Instead, I deflected. And you? Anniversary's rough. Need anything? He leaned back, a ghost of a smile. Nah, just grateful for nights like this. Keeps the ghosts at bay. We clinked glasses, the moment passing. But as we parted under the awning, rain sheeting down, his hand lingered on my arm a beat too long. Take care of yourself, Jordan. More than you think you deserve. I drove home through the deluge, wipers slapping rhythm like a heartbeat, replaying that touch. What the hell was happening? Damien was straight-edge Americana, trucks, baseball, quiet strength. Yet in those stolen glances, I glimpsed fractures. The way he'd pause mid-story about Lisa, eyes distant. The single malt nights I'd overheard through thin walls at their house. By the time I crashed into bed, sheets cool against fevered skin, sleep evaded me. Dawn broke with a decision. I needed answers or at least a distraction. Little did I know, the next ferry ride would capsize everything. The week dragged, each day a taut wire. Work blurred into monotony, endless Zoom calls, copy edits that bled into lunch. Miles and I grabbed tacos midweek, his excitement over the ultrasound bubbling over, but I caught him eyeing me sideways, like he sensed the shift. You good, Jay? Seem intense. I brushed it off with a joke about caffeine crashes, but inside, the sauna's echo pulsed. We need to talk. Friday night found me back at the gym, routine my armor. The place was quieter, post-rush hour lull, the clang of weights fading to murmurs. I powered through sets, bench presses that burned out the restlessness, treadmill miles pounding questions into the rubber. By the time I hit the sauna, muscles screaming, the room was empty, coals glowing like embers of resolve. I stripped to my towel, sank onto the bench, and let the heat invade, seeking clarity in the blur. Minutes ticked by, marked only by the drip of sweat. Then the door. Damien again, like fate's cruel loop. He paused in the threshold, surprise flickering before settling into resolve. Twice in a week. Universe has a sense of humor. Or bad timing. I quipped, but my voice cracked, betraying the churn. He entered, claiming his spot opposite, the steam coiling around us like secrets. No small talk this time, he cut straight. That night at the bar. You saw it, didn't you? The cracks. I nodded, throat tight. Anniversary stuff. Normal. Not normal. His words dropped heavy, eyes locking with an intensity that pinned me. Not for me.
Lisa.
She knew Jordan. Before the accident. Knew I wasn't all in. Not the way she deserved. The air sucked out, leaving vacuum. I stared, pieces slotting wrong. What do you mean? He rubbed his jaw, stubble rasping. I'm gay. Have been since I could name it. Buried it deep, Navy, marriage, fatherhood. For miles. For her. But it's there, clawing up. The confession landed like a rogue wave, crashing over defenses I'd built for years. Damien, Uncle D gay? The man who'd fixed my bike, cheered my coming out to my folks, embodied every straight dad trope. Yet it fit. The lingering widower solitude, the way he'd never dated, the fierce protectiveness over Miles that bordered on overcompensation. My mind reeled, rewriting memories in fluorescent light. Why tell me? I whispered, voice barely threading the steam. Because you see people, Jordan. Always have. And because. He trailed off, gaze dropping to the floor slats, toes curling against wood. Because looking at you lately, I see myself. Young. Scared. Pretending. Heat flooded me. Not the saunas, but something visceral, electric. His honesty stripped us bare. Vulnerability a bridge over chasms I'd never dared cross. I leaned forward, elbows on knees, the towel shifting unnoticed. Damien, shit. Miles, he's my world. But you. He met my eyes then, raw and unguarded. I know. That's the betrayal, isn't it? The man who raised him, wanting what I shouldn't. His laugh was bitter, self-lacerating. 48 years, and I'm finally honest. With you. The word betrayal echoed. A harbinger. Miles, oblivious, building his nuclear family, would shatter if he knew. Yet in that moment, suspended in vapor, I felt seen truly, for the mess of longing and loyalty I was. What now? I breathed. He stood, abrupt, towel clutched like a shield. Now, we keep it buried. For him. But thank you for listening. The door closed behind him, soft as a sigh, leaving me adrift in the heat's embrace. I emerged eventually, world tilted. The locker room mirror showed a stranger. Flushed cheeks, dilated pupils, lips parted on unspoken truths. Driving home through sodium-lit streets, rain pattering the windshield like hesitant fingers, I grappled with the fallout. Attraction, undeniable, a slow burn ignited by his courage. But love for Miles, fraternal and fierce, warred with it. Betrayal loomed, a shadow on the dash. Saturday dawned crisp, a rare blue sky tease before autumn's grip. Miles texted, Diamondbacks game? Dad's got tickets. Irony twisted like a knife. I agreed, stealing for the triple play of us three, normalcy a fragile mask. Ballpark buzz enveloped us. Hot dogs steaming, organ riff swelling. The crack of bats a heartbeat. Damien sat between, casual in a team cap, but his knee brushed mine on the bleacher, accidental electric. Miles chattered stats, oblivious. His hand on my shoulder, a brother's anchor. Halftime found us stretching legs, Damien vanishing for beers. Miles leaned in, voice low. Dad seems lighter. Whatever you said in that sauna. Thanks, man. Guilt surged, acrid. Just talked weather. He grinned, clapping my back. Liar. But seriously, he's been a rock. For me, for you. Don't fuck it up. The warning unintended, but it landed. Beers returned, foam sloshing, and we settled into innings, cheers masking the undercurrent. Damien's glances, brief, loaded, stoked the fire. By the seventh stretch anthem, my resolve frayed. I excused to the concourse, splashing water on my face in the echoing restroom. He found me there, reflection merging in the sink mirror. You okay?
No.
Honesty spilled, reckless. This, us. It's messing with everything. His hand on my shoulder, steadying. Then we stop. Simple. But nothing was. His touch lingered, thumb brushing collarbone. And I turned, inches apart, breaths mingling under fluorescent hum. The kiss was inevitable, soft, tentative, tasting of hops and hidden years. It lasted seconds, eternal, before we broke, eyes wide with shared ruin. Miles! I gasped, horror dawning. Damien's face crumpled. Go. I'll handle. I fled to my seat, heart thundering louder than the crowd's roar. Miles, none the wiser, high-fived on a home run, his joy ablade. The final out came, confetti swirling, but victory tasted ash. That night, alone in my apartment, phone silent, the betrayal crystallized. I crossed the line not just with Damien, but with the brother I'd claimed. Texts to Miles went unread. A call to Damien rolled to voicemail. Dawn brought resolve, confrontation or collapse. Monday's rain returned, relentless. I called in sick, drove to Ballard, the craftsman house sagging under wet eaves like burdened shoulders. Miles answered, surprise etching his face. G? What's up? Need to talk. Now. Inside, the living room smelled of coffee and newsprint. Photos of Lisa smiling from mantels. Damien emerged from the kitchen, apron dusted in flour, pancakes, his stress ritual. His eyes met mine, weary apology. Miles sensed the charge. What the hell's going on? I couldn't soften it. You're dead. He told me, about himself. And then, words failed. The kiss hung unspoken. Miles's face drained, confusion hardening to fury. What, Dad? Damien stepped forward, voice steady. Son, it's true. I've been lying to you, to everyone. Jordan just heard it first. The room imploded. Miles whirled on him, voice cracking. Lying? Mom. Our life. Was that all bullshit? No. Damien's plea raw. I loved her. Chose her. For you. But I can't anymore. Miles's gaze swung to me, betrayal twin-barreled. And you? My best friend? In on this? Kissing my dad? It wasn't. But it was. The air thickened with accusations. Miles storming out, door slamming like finality. Damien sank to the couch, head in hands. I warned you. Guilt choked me. I should have walked away. He looked up, eyes red-rimmed. Maybe, but honesty. Freeze, even if it breaks. I left him there, rain lashing the windshield as I drove aimless. Seattle's veins carrying me to the sound. The ferry terminal loomed, a siren call. I bought a ticket, boarded the MV Caleton, waves chopping whitecaps. Leaning on the rail, wind whipping, I replayed the wreckage. Miles's pain, Damien's courage, my own selfish spark. Hours later, my phone buzzed. Miles. We need to talk. Park. Now. The lot by Golden Gardens, twilight bruising the sky. He waited on a bench, hood up against drizzle, posture rigid. I sat, space between us a chasm.
I'm sorry.
He didn't look up. How long? Not. It was one moment. Stupid. Stupid. He laughed, hollow. Dad's gay. My best friend's into him. And I feel like the idiot for not seeing. You're not. I reached, tentative. He flinched. Miles, you're my family. This doesn't change. Everything changes. His voice broke. I love you, man. Like a brother. But this? It's betrayal squared. Tears stung, mixing with rain. I know. I'll fix it. Back off, whatever. He shook his head.
No.
Fix means truth. Dad's been carrying this alone too long. And you've been lonely, pretending for me.
Surprise tilde me.
What? I knew, Jay, about your feelings. Back in school. Buried it, 'cause I didn't want to lose you. His hand found mine, brotherly grip. But this? It's forcing us all to surface. We sat till dark deepened, words weaving fragile bridges. No forgiveness instant, but a start, human, messy. Driving home, city lights fracturing on wet glass, hope flickered. Damien texted, "Talk tomorrow?" I replied yes. Weeks blurred into tentative thaw. Miles and I rebuilt slow. Texts escalating to coffees, silences less sharp. Damien opened more, sharing stories of suppressed youth. Navy hookups in shadowed ports. The ache of Lisa's unknowing grace. Attraction simmered between us, but we held, honoring the mend. One evening, post-ferry shift, he invited me aboard the empty deck, stars pricking the ink-black sound. Jordan, he said, voice carrying overlapping waves. It's not simple, but it's real. I nodded, hand in his, the fairies hum a steady pulse. Worth the storm. No grand gestures, no tidy bows. Just three men navigating currents, scarred but steering true. In America's heartland sprawl, amid rain-kissed evergreens, we found not perfection, but grace. The humanistic pulse that says, even in betrayal's wake, love endures, if we dare claim it. Betrayal's echo faded, but its lessons rooted deep. Miles's wedding approached. Elena radiant, bump a promise, and I stood best man, Damien's quiet pride in the pew beside him. Vows exchanged under stained glass. I caught their eyes. Son forgiving father, friend reclaiming brother. Later, reception dances under strung lights. Damien pulled me aside, breath warm on my ear. Proud of you, of us. The kiss then, public subtle, sealed not passion but partnership. Life's ferries kept crossing, jobs shifting, rains falling. But we charted together, honest in the haze. In the end, the sauna's steam cleared to reveal not ruin, but rebirth. A family reforged, loves layered without shame. Seattle's fog lifted, sun glinting off the sound, and for the first time, I breathed free.